out there. I want to welcome everybody to the introductory episode of Longspurs Beyond the Holler. This is Shon Butler, and you have co-host David Hamilton.
David Hamilton, yes, sir. We're here today over here at your place, neck of the woods of Buchanan, West Virginia.
Yeah, we like to call this Longspur headquarters. It's not a lot, but yeah. Everybody likes to say, "Oh, I'm going over to the headquarters." What we got lined up today, we're going to do an introduction of what Longspur is.
Yep.
We're going to take a break, and then we're going to talk with James Mills.
Yep, we have Mr. Mills that's going to be calling in from Kentucky.
Yes, he's in Somerset, Kentucky. I call him the father of Jag Terriers in the United States. He should be an interesting interview.
Yeah, he'll be awesome.
This first segment here, we're going to get going on. We'll just talk back and forth to each other here about
we're going to ask you some basic questions about Longspur.
And then I think after a commercial break, we're going to have Chrissy come in and talk.
So the first question we got is just, how did you get started? And, when did you get started, Shon?
Well, the Wayback Machine. Being a West Virginian and a West Virginia kid, as I was growing up, I was, okay, go to the woods, get out of our hair. So that's how I ended up in the woods. And every time I was there, I had a dog with me.
Yep.
Okay, whether it was a hound or a terrier or a beagle or
just your everyday kid
or a cur. There was always dogs around. As I got a little older, we moved to, my dad went to Baptist Seminary in Minneapolis.
Okay.
So I spent 4 years of my young life between age 5 and 9 in Minnesota, and that's a bird hunting culture up there, especially at that time.
Oh, wow.
Period.
Yeah.
And we fell in love with that. My dad ended up buying a Springer Spaniel pup.
Okay.
Brought him back to West Virginia, and we had him for about 14 years.
Wow.
And
what did he track, or what did he hunt? I mean,
he was a bird dog, and
okay.
and I didn't know much as a 8, 9, 10-year-old at that point.
Right.
But it really got me interested in bird dogs.
Okay.
And after Josh passed, I went a few years and got out of high school and hunted with hounds and everything through that time period, and got out on my own, and I bought another Springer.
Oh, wow. How old were you at that time?
I was 19 years old,
okay.
just going on 20.
That was a big deal, too, at 19, buying your own pup. I mean, that's a big deal.
My granddad told me I needed that pup as much as I needed a hole in the head because I really didn't have any place I was living. I went to college at Glenville State College down in Glenville, West Virginia. And here I had this dog that went with me everywhere. First time I took him to college, one of my forestry professors, Doc Grafton, looks out the window while he's teaching, and he just stops.
Oh, my goodness.
And he said, "Who has the dog out there sitting in the front seat of their vehicle?" And I said, "Me." And he said, "You go get that dog, and you bring it in here. Does it listen?" I said, "Yes, sir. He listens well."
Yeah.
He said, "You bring it in here."
Oh, wow. In the classroom?
In the classroom.
Oh, man. Okay.
So I brought him in. He sat by my feet. After the class, Doc Grafton called me up and said, "I want to talk to you." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You're more than welcome to bring that dog with you anytime as long as he listens.
Oh, my word.
You do not leave him in a vehicle."
That says something for a teacher. And
yes.
I mean, what year that was? If you were 19 years old, 20 years old, I mean, that was
like 93.
Obviously, nowadays, I don't think your college teacher would really appreciate a dog in the classroom.
No, right they're probably allowed in safe spots on campus, but not.
I mean, it is West Virginia. But.
Yeah. So, Josh Springer, he ended up pretty much. He probably could have had a forestry degree because he attended most of the classes with me.
Okay.
Doc Grafton loved him, took him in his office with him anytime he could. He sat with Doc a lot. And the first litter of pups that Josh fathered, I made sure I got Doc Grafton a pup and gave it to him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then he came back to me and said, "I want a second one." That one cries too much. So
that inspired you to obviously getting the dog breeding and kind of
I was into the bird dogs, bird dog training from
an
early age.
Expensive hobby too. I mean, it's a popular hobby.
Yes, but at that time we had grouse.
Okay.
Yeah. The mountains of West Virginia around here, we had grouse.
They're scarce now.
Yes, very. I only seen 3 this whole season in the woods, tracking and hunting. But I shifted from springers into setters, English setters, pointers.
Okay.
And with the grouse population, I could train setters on wild grouse. And I had some of the last setters around here that were trained on wild grouse. My friends were the same way. There was a real big setter culture here in the Upshur County area. Huh. So, and I got my bases in tracking. One of the things I noticed with the setters and with the springers is they had a big interest in blood trailing.
Oh.
At that point in time, I didn't know much about interdigital.
Really, back then, there wasn't such a thing of tracking.
It was illegal.
Dogs. It was illegal, yeah.
It was as illegal as having a still
in your basement.
But with that said, people still had stills.
Yeah, well, obviously,
and when we hit a deer and we couldn't find it, we still took a dog.
Yeah. I mean, I would do the same.
It's ethical. It's the only ethical thing to do. So the statute of limitations is out on that now. So West Virginia DNR is listening.
And this is what, the second year this is legal now?
It's second year in West Virginia. It's legal going into our third. It's been a big hit. But we have national trackers national schools that doubt our abilities here just because of how new it is in West Virginia. But what they don't know is our mountain culture.
Yeah.
We grew up around dogs. We trained dogs, and we have tracked deer and bears with dogs as long as we needed to.
And obviously, it's a totally different ball game when you actually physically go and see the progress with your dogs, too. Yes. I mean, that's a big difference.
So, with the setters, then as the grouse population started to decline, and being a diehard bird hunter, I kind of migrated over to duck and goose hunting.
Oh, yeah.
Got into labs, trained labs, bred labs for a while. And just kind of got out of it, you know. And after we got out of that, I got my first little terrier, did some squirrel hunting, noticed he could track deer, and that's what really drew me into the terriers about 10 years ago.
How many dogs did you have back then? I mean, obviously, if you had different ones for different hunting, I mean, you had quite a few already.
Back in the day, you know, you'd have a hound dog. Always had a hound dog around. Always had some kind of small terrier mix or beagle for hunting small game.
Yeah.
Treen dog of some kind. A cur dog, feist dog.
Coon,
And then when we started getting into bird dogs, I'd sometimes have 7 or 8 dogs that I owned at a time. So
were you married then? Because I'm sure
not at that point.
I was gonna say that she would probably appreciate looking out the window, seeing that many dogs.
Not at that point. But I kind of got away from it. You know, life happens.
Right.
Got away from it. Like I said, ended up meeting Chrissy. Chrissy come into my life, and her sister, now a lot of people laugh at this.
Yeah.
But her sister had a little Yorkie Terrier.
Okay. And they're real small dogs.
Small. And she went to the neighbor's house and visited a Chihuahua.
Oh. Okay.
And she had one little pup, and he's running around here now.
Oh, is he? Oh, is it that little one? Okay.
Yeah, he's 10 years old.
Oh, my.
But that little guy can find deer.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, my word.
He is a little deer finding machine.
And he's a Chihuahua.
He is a Chihuahua Yorkie mix.
So he's crossed. Okay.
Yeah. Some of the people.
That's surprising.
Yeah, he's a Chorkie. I guess you'd call him a Chorkie. But I mean, Chihuahuas are hunters. They're good little hunters.
Yeah, they have an attitude, yeah.
But as we got closer, Chrissy and I lobbied for West Virginia to become legal into tracking. We worked for 3 years to get this legalized. As we saw it was going to become legalized, and after going on a few hunts ourselves in other states and seeing other dogs, one being a Patterdale Terrier in Texas, doing tracking down there for an outfitter.
And that drew you more into back with the dogs again.
Yeah, and I told Chrissy, I said, if we're really going to be serious about tracking, we need to look in getting us a good terrier. Jack Russell, Patterdale. The Yogs weren't in my mind then, but I've had run-ins with Jag Terriers throughout the years.
Okay.
I knew what they were.
Right.
I knew what they could do, but it hadn't hit me.
Right.
So
obviously you were impressed by that Chihuahua cross.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, and I love terriers. I think terriers are just an amazing dog.
Yeah.
So I kind of settled on a Patterdale Terrier, smaller version, smaller dog. When I talked to the breeder, told him, I said, I want to hunt him. I want him, to be able to squirrel hunt, go in dens after raccoons. I want him to dig for groundhogs, but I want him to track.
Very versatile dogs.
Yes, I want a versatile dog that'll track. And he said, the Patterdale might be a little small for you. He might be in every groundhog hole you go by while you're tracking. You might spend all your time digging him out. Have you thought about a Jag Terrier?
Okay.
And he said, do you know what a Jag is? I said, yeah, I know what it is. I said, the good old boys back here call them Jags.
Yes, yeah, that's what I referred to them as, right. Jags, yeah.
You hear all the bear dog guys and hog guys calling them Jag Terriers.
And they're such a small dog. I mean, it's suppressing. It would want to hunt a game that big. Right. I mean,
yeah, you're looking at females about 20 pounds, and males about 25.
You get a bear, man. I mean,
yeah,
that little dog it's no match.
So I made a couple phone calls, ended up getting our first pup through Chris Phillips in Briarwoods in North Carolina, and we couldn't be happier. Yeah. Chris put us in touch with Jeff Gross down in Tennessee. Jeff had first-generation dogs from Briarwoods, and he had a litter available right then. Wow. With Chris, if you go through his kennel, you're maybe a year and a half waiting list.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so we kind of fell into that.
Right.
But we couldn't have done this without Chris and Jeff.
Okay.
I like to tell people that.
Yeah. And that was how long ago was that?
That was...
Was it that long ago that you really
December 2019.
Okay.
It was Christmas Eve, and Chrissy and I were...
I mean, obviously it blown up from then to now. I mean,
Yeah, Jesse was born on December 20th, 2019.
Okay.
So we ran down Valentine's Day, 2020.
Right.
Right before everybody started locking down and everything. We went to Nashville. My mom lives down there, stayed with her, went to the National Wild Turkey Federation Convention.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, we're a donor to them, so we had some tickets for some meals and stuff. We ran in there, did some visiting with some friends, ran on down and picked up Jesse.
Okay.
Didn't know that little 3-4 pound black and tan dog was going to change our life.
Yeah, he's all over your page right now, actually on Facebook and everything. He's all over it.
Yeah, she is our flagship dog. Now,
how old is that pup now?
Jessie herself?
Yeah, Jessie. Yeah, how old is she?
Okay, she is, 2.5 years old.
Oh, and she's just
she hasn't
keyed on as good.
Yeah, she hasn't reached her full potential yet. Oh, wow. And it's not her, it's me that holds her back.
Right. Because
I'm still, you can train dogs your whole life, but you got to learn how to read a dog.
Right. And obviously that's what you do well.
Every dog's different. You got to learn how to pick up quick. So she teaches me every time we go to the field.
Okay.
She teaches me.
Yeah.
So then I know what to look for in other dogs.
Right.
This is Jesse's a wonder dog. I mean, you get one of these a lifetime.
Yeah.
I don't ever expect to duplicate her. Hope to get close.
Right. Yeah. Obviously. Yeah.
So currently we have Jessie. We have her brother and sister, Henry and Karma, that now they're out of the next year's litter.
Okay.
But all three, brothers and sisters.
Right.
Karma, she'll be going into this fall as a tracker.
Really?
Henry tracked with us this fall as a second to Jesse.
Wow.
But he was only a 6-month-old pup when we started, so he was learning.
Right.
He made a couple recoveries on his own. Sometimes the males take a little longer in this tracking world to kick it in.
Right.
Okay, even in the hunting world. I mean, males, when they get 2 or 3 years old, you usually know what you have. The females, when they're 8 to 12 months old, you usually know what you have.
Okay.
Not every dog works that way, but
right.
I mean,
that's the way with the animal world. I mean, it seems like for some reason the female has just that natural
matures
instinct.
Quicker.
Yeah, I mean they mature quicker and they just have such a good drive for what they do.
Right, and that's what got us here today. I mean, we had Chrissy and I had a turkey call company called Longspur Turkey Calls.
Okay. And that's how it really got the name Longspur.
Right.
Okay.
I've been an outfitter before. From 2001 to 2005, outfitted turkey hunts in West Virginia. You're
a busy guy.
We were, and the guys that come in, they were just so amazed at the size turkeys they were killing here because they target older birds that you had to pattern.
Yeah. West Virginia is overlooked with how many turkeys are out. I mean, there's some monsters.
Number and the age. We have some old birds here. Yeah. You can kill some 4- or 5-year-old long-spurred turkeys.
Yeah.
So these guys were going back and telling all their friends, and we become a popular destination here for long-spurred turkeys. So that's where we got our name.
I mean, just about any crook and cranny in the holler up in here. I mean, you could find a good 10 and 10.5 inch bearded tom. Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty common bird you could see around here. As me growing up, that's
right. Probably, yeah. And a lot of guys do. They look at those spurs and or the beards and get excited. I was a spur guy.
You're the spurs. Okay.
I like 1.5 inch sharp hooks. Yeah. I know I've killed something.
Right. And there wasn't really many birds. I mean, talking to my parents and everything, there wasn't very many turkeys, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, we had probably the height around here was 97 to 2000.
Okay.
And
I mean, now it's
starting to come up again.
Yeah,
it's not what it was then because we had a downward cycle and it's starting to come up. We got to have some dry springs, but that's for another episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we could get into turkey hunting all day long.
But we started the Longspur Turkey Call Company. It just kind of, as it got into tracking, West Virginia requires you to have an outfitting license to charge to track.
Yeah,
pretty. In-depth and expensive to maintain that, so there's not very many licensed trackers in the state.
And within from 3 years now, you were saying how many? You have 20-some guys that are underneath of you now working for you.
We have 23 as of last night trackers in 7 different states that work for us.
Yeah,
it's not bragging, but we are the largest tracking company in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, I'm north of you. I'm in the northern panhandle, and I mean, I've just heard about you last year, and it was a huge thing, and that was the only one I've ever heard of. I've never heard about tracking a deer with a dog.
Right.
I mean,
it's been big in Ohio. Pennsylvania just become legal about the same time we did. But we, the first year we were the only game in town.
Right.
And the other guys that were tracking, to be able to charge, had to have that outfitting license or work for a licensed outfitter.
To be legal, yeah.
To be legal, so.
And that's what you're allowed to track in other states. You're not just West Virginia.
Right.
You're Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia.
As long as you follow those other states' guidelines. Most of the other ones are just a hunting license or.
Right.
Small
game license.
Small game license is most of them. Is all you got to have is just hold a hunting license.
Right.
So, we track. We track personally here. We track Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia. We have a tracking presence or trackers in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Virginia.
We just picked a guy up in Kentucky, Illinois too, right?
Yeah. Illinois. I'm forgetting one there. Virginia.
Okay. And we have a pretty good range in 3 years. I mean, that's huge.
Right. And we're growing. People, we have a unique program where we franchise pups out. Where we maintain the ownership of the pup.
Yeah,
it's a way for young, dedicated people that maybe don't have the money, to buy
they just franchise under you.
They franchise under us, and they have one of our dogs. After 5 years, if they're happy and want to continue, I give them the dog.
And that's a great business opportunity for really anybody. Yeah. I mean, you could be working your regular 6 days, 7 days a week, and you could still have that as a side job as well.
Right. If you could come in and do 40 tracks a year,
that's huge.
That's huge for us. That's huge in your area to help that many hunters out.
I mean, before we run out of time, I know we got so much stuff. There's so much stuff we can go over. Like how many dogs you have right now, spread out through?
Right. Currently, and we're working more on this. We have one of our Jag Terriers over in the eastern panhandle of West Virginia, over in Jefferson County, and that's John Davis over there with Rack and Tracks at Longspur.
Yeah.
And he covers Maryland, West Virginia, Virginia.
Oh wow.
So he has a big area. Another, we have Johnny Jones down in Oceana, West Virginia, Wyoming County. He has one of our Jag Terriers down there.
Right.
And he covers the 4 southern bow hunting only counties in West Virginia.
Wow.
Lawson McKee up near Weirton.
Yep, he's my neighbor. Yeah.
Lawson has one of our German wire-haired pointers.
Yeah.
And he's going, training her up, and she'll be covering part of Pennsylvania and West Virginia, northern panhandle, and part of Ohio.
Right.
We currently are trying to place a bloodhound in Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
So Wisconsin might be on the board. Illinois, the boy in Illinois wasn't a franchise dog. He just bought a dog through us and decided,
okay,
hey, that's I want to work for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, really, like you're saying, anybody can really want to get into this business. Anybody can really learn.
Right. Anybody that has a dog that wants to do this, reason being we get so many referrals.
Yeah.
We get a couple thousand phone calls every fall, contacts, and we get calls from all over. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm sure all times of the night too.
Yeah,
I mean,
we get contacts from Illinois.
That's how I met you.
Yeah.
I mean, I shot my deer, and I never even heard of you, and someone was like, "Well, call Shon." And I was like, "I don't even know. Is that even a thing?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Absolutely." So that's how I met you.
And we had a unique story because I didn't come track for you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And you didn't have to physically come. You still helped me recover my deer without
talked
even
into it,
yeah.
and that's one of the things I think that sets us apart from other trackers.
Yeah.
We could make so much more money.
Right.
You're
doing it for the people.
I'm trying to do it for the people. If somebody calls me and I know their deer's dead and they can find it, I want them to find it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that was your case. You called me, you explained the shot.
Yeah. And then that helps you with more business in the future too.
Yes.
I mean, it really does.
Yes. We probably had 50 of those this year.
Wow.
Recoveries by phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're always teasing each other. And one of the guys said, we need to be like a hotline where you pay $19.99 just to call.
Any time of day, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
absolutely.
like, no. But out of all those phone calls that come in here, either myself, Chrissy, or one of the trackers talk to each hunter.
Really?
Every hunter was talked to.
Wow.
Either personally by phone or by text. I
Right.
mean, sometimes all it takes is a text.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Okay, but...
Any kind of information at that moment, you know.
Yeah, but we talk to everybody. Yeah. Nobody gets left out.
Right. And it's just like you with your dogs. I mean, you're able to read the dogs, but you're also able to read a deer being wounded or, if it's going to be a successful find.
So when Chrissy comes on for the second part of this segment...
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
All right. Well, perfect. Okay. Yeah. Well, we're starting to run out a little bit of time here.
Okay. Yeah, I need to mention some of our sponsors on this segment. You got American Flyway Waterfowl. That's Joey Hip down in Louisiana. He makes some fine outdoor gear, hats, all kinds of clothing.
Tons of stuff.
Yeah, he sells all kinds of duck and goose calls. Check out his Facebook pages, American Flyway Waterfowl. He also carries Apex ammunition if you're looking for some great TSS shot for turkey hunting. Our other sponsor on this segment is Sam McCloy with Peanut Addiction over in Grafton, West Virginia. Now, if you've never used Peanut Addiction, if you're running any kind of feeder, you should try this stuff.
Looks like pretty good stuff, Shon.
It's a great attractant. It smells good enough to eat if you like peanuts. We use it. Especially with JC. It brings deer in close. It keeps their mind on feeding.
And it has a lot of natural ingredients to help them with their antlers and everything else that they're lacking.
This is just a pure attractant.
That's awesome.
But Sam McCloy, we tracked for him, and he's come on with us with Peanut Addiction. Great guy. And the last sponsor I need to mention on this segment is Dream Mountain Ranch up in Preston County. Brian Poling and his gang up there run a quality operation. It's high fence. You're trying to break a new hunter into hunting or a young hunter into hunting. It's a great controlled environment. He has hogs, exotic rams, whitetails, elk, several other exotic species like buffalo. If you want to call those exotic, they are. In West Virginia, you don't see them as much as you used to.
Yeah.
His elk herd up there is a now completely 100% West Virginia elk herd. They've had them long enough up there that every animal on there has been raised on Dream Mountain.
That's awesome.
But great facility. Brian also holds weddings. You can call him up there at Dream Mountain in Preston County, West Virginia. Book your wedding, book a hunt. Has a fishing pond that they're open, I believe, on Sundays this time of year.
Do it all in one shot.
Yeah, and we're actually negotiating with Dream Mountain to open up some bird hunting next year.
Oh, wow.
With the Longspur dogs doing some work there.
Perfect.
So stay tuned for that. But those are our three sponsors for this part of this introduction: American Flyway Waterfowl, Peanut Addiction, and Dream Mountain. We'll be back here in just a couple minutes. Hey, welcome back to Longspurs Beyond the Holler. we're into our second segment here. That's well, I shouldn't call it our second segment. It's continuation of the first segment. Brought to you by American Flyaway Waterfowl, Peanut Addiction, and Dream Mountain. Guest for this round is, I guess you'd say, myself and Chrissy.
Yeah.
Your
better half.
Yeah, my better half. Chrissy Lemasters. She's a co-owner of Longspur Tracking and Outfitting, and we thought maybe she'd want to.
Yeah, we'd ask some questions about why you like tracking with him, and some of the stuff what you think is what makes you have a drive for doing this. I mean, not very many women out there are like, yeah, let's go track a deer in the middle of the night.
Right.
What was your first track together?
What was our first track?
Walter Stubblefield.
Walter.
In Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
We went down there and we interviewed him.
Right.
And we talked about it he was in Grayson, Kentucky. It was about a 2.5 hour drive, and we kind of figured he shoulder shot at his buck.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when you're like, hey, let's go to Kentucky and try to get this deer.
And we didn't have high hopes for finding this deer.
Right.
And we agreed to take it as a night track.
Oh, yeah.
We got there 1 in the morning, 10 or midnight. It was late.
What were you thinking about this whole ordeal? It was probably like,
Well, we talked the whole way, kind of replayed everything that he had told us on the phone, and, wasn't sure what we were going to see when we got there. And we got there, and he showed us pictures. Was it on his trail camera?
It was on his trail camera.
Yeah.
Okay. Of what the deer was and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you guys just kind of went over the shot and everything where it was.
We did. And, we hit the track, and we just kept coming up with dead ends, and it's 1:30, 2 in the morning, and I kind of felt bad. We just weren't advancing the track any further. And,
right.
We're not new to tracking, but new to being a business in tracking, so we wanted to provide him with.
And that was how many years ago? I mean,
that was 2 years ago.
Okay, so right when you started then.
Yeah. And I told Walter, I said, now Chrissy and I, we'll just sleep in the Jeep.
Right.
And we'll hit this again in the morning. We'll just give it another go.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, are you all serious?
One heck of a first date.
And he's like, are you serious? I said, yeah. And so we just, we went ahead and he said, no, you don't have to stay in your Jeep. He said, just down over the hill here, I have a cabin.
Okay, perfect.
And we get to this cabin. I mean, it was nice for a cabin out in the middle of nowhere.
In Kentucky.
Yeah, in Kentucky. And he made me sit on a couch with Kentucky Wildcat pillows and blankets. And he said, I got to get a picture of this. I bet you Bob Huggins would love you.
Made you guys feel at home then, huh?
So, yeah. But that was our first track as a business together. Okay, but Chrissy and I have been together 10 years now, haven't we?
There we go. Yeah. 10 years.
10 years. And we've hunted and fished.
Yeah, I mean, and you hunt, as what I've heard, too. I mean, you do a lot of hunting with Shon. Yeah. Turkey and deer and everything else.
Whatever he'll let me shoot.
I'll let her shoot. Oh, my.
That sounds right. So is there any kind of, stories that really was, really scarred you in your memory about Shon? Any stories with deer tracking? Anything that really pops out at you? Because, I mean, that was, you guys known each other for 10 years, and, that was your first track. Obviously, that was pretty different. Yeah. That wasn't your average, normal, type evening with each other.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, out of the last 2 years, what would you say, who was your favorite? And which one stood out the most?
Which one was I telling you about the other day? I told you I had one that...
You like Chris Spinks.
Yeah.
Were you the guy that wanted to carry you across the creek?
Oh, yeah. We were talking about that before we got on here. Yeah. So what was that whole story about?
Well, that was another one of those guys, Chris, and we'll have him on the podcast at some time because he is Mr. Entertainment, let me tell you.
Yes.
Sounds like it.
He called us, and this was the last day of our season, was it not?
Yeah.
He shot this deer on December 30th, and we went and tracked it the 31st, if I remember correctly.
Oh, it was cold then.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
It was down in Summersville.
Okay.
he said, man, I shot this deer with a crossbow. And he said, I'm not going to lie to you. I shot it in the shoulder. He said, and I tried to shoot it in the shoulder. That's all I could do. And I'm like, oh, a shoulder shot. He said, he said, I was shooting a crossbow bolt. And he said, I got 14 or 15 inches of penetration out of a 20-inch bolt.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, and Chrissy listens in on every call.
Right.
I tell every hunter that, you know.
Right.
And she's looking at me and said, he's believable, you know.
Yeah.
Because he's saying, I know this deer's dead. I know it.
Right.
And I said, okay, it sounds like you may have got enough penetration to get one lung. So we got down there, and I don't think everybody's not ready. When Chrissy jumps out of the vehicle and goes with me, the guys like really? But they don't realize that she's probably a better tracker than they are.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Because she's seeing every situation throughout the tracking season. You know, most people track 1 or 2 deer a year,
right?
And most of those are easy tracks.
Yeah.
Right. She sees every hard one.
She sees all of it. And how many? You said how many tracks do you go with Shon in a year?
I think I've been on all of them except for 1 or 2, maybe.
2, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, and we did over 80 this year.
That's a lot of walking, a lot of running around.
Right. Chris's deer, he was your typical hunter. My deer's dead
across the creek, huh?
Well, yeah. When we got there, he's like, it went this way.
Yeah, and 60% of hunters tell you the direction it goes in, they're wrong.
Right.
So we go up the hill. I take Jessie on the track. She gets up, and I'm expecting her to turn left in the direction Chris had pointed.
Right.
And she turns right, goes straight down the hill. Well, Chrissy and Chris were on a log road below me, and you saw something.
Yeah, I noticed that the leaves were ruffled up going down the hill. Yeah. And I turned around. I asked him, I was like, have you been down this way? And he's like, no. He's like, I've concentrated, on the other side. We look up, and Shon and Jesse's coming back down over the hill.
Coming right down after his tracks.
I come right over that disturbed leaf area, and I think Chris then kind of started respecting what Chrissy had to say.
Yeah, he had a little.
And about 10 yards further than that, I hit a blood spot.
Yeah.
And so we knew the deer went that way. And I told Chris, I said, you got to trust the dog. And we went about 250, 300 yards, and Jessie just started pulling me. And I'm like, and when she gets close to a deer, she starts looking for it because she wants to kill it.
Right. And that's what you were saying earlier. You could read the dog. So any kind of body language. And I'm sure you're like that too, Chrissy.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Chrissy can read her as well as I can because Chrissy runs her too.
Right.
But she was telling me that deer was there.
Yeah.
Close.
You can almost smell it.
But that deer was alive.
Oh.
He had one lung hit that deer.
That's never a good sign.
Jessie got right up on it, probably 3 feet from it, before I saw it because it was in some greenbriers.
Right.
And she jumped him up, and we're talking. I think it ended up being 157 inches.
Oh wow!
So
that wasn't a deer.
No, he told when we got there. He told me, "Here, you're tracking a 135-inch buck," and I look at the picture. Okay, because trail cam pictures don't always do justice.
They don't
to
do
deer.
you justice at all. Yeah.
This deer jumps up in my face and goes out 10 yards and stops just at the end of pretty much the long lead. And I'm like, holy.
Is this the deer?
That's a 160-inch deer.
Right, yeah.
I'm not only a tracker,
What
I'm
were
a
you
deer
thinking
hunter.
at that moment, Chrissy? Like,
they were still behind me.
Yeah. We were coming up behind him, and he's like, it's alive. It's alive.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get Chris down there with his crossbow.
Right, yeah.
The deer goes out to 40 yards and then turns broadside and looks at us, and I can tell.
How far was it from the previous shot? I mean, so now you're like
300 yards.
Okay, so you're a good distance away from where he originally shot
it. When it went out 40 yards, it crossed a creek. Okay, well, when Chris got down there, he couldn't get a shot at it. It went on into the swamp.
Right.
And my first thing was, okay, the main 4-lane highway is not that far. We can't follow that deer straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And we can't, it's wounded and it's mortally wounded, but it's on its feet. So we can't go chase a deer with the dog.
Right.
So we come up with a plan to circle completely around and come along the edge of the road.
Trying to intercept him.
Intercept it.
Okay.
And we did that. We made a circle, and we came to the creek crossing, and it was about knee deep. And Chris, he said, "I'm not getting my boots wet." He said, "I'm going to take them off." So he takes off his boots and socks and wades across. And I said,
and you're a 35-year-old man. You could really.
I just ran across it.
Yeah.
I just ran across it.
I bet that was nice and smooth.
Hey, I didn't get my feet wet.
Hey,
I hit that thing so fast.
And then it was Chrissy's turn.
And then it was Chrissy's turn, and she did the take off boots and socks thing, and Chris turns around and says, "Would you like for me to carry you across?"
Now, for all the listeners, and you're not a tall girl, you're real skinny, so I mean, you're just a dainty thing, and he probably thought you couldn't make it, and you did.
Yeah.
And basically, she was like, "If that old man can run across it, I can make it. I can go wherever he goes." So, but then we circled that deer, and Chris ended up, the nice thing circling, and Jessie, she's so good at even winding deer and gritting. We knew when we were getting close to that deer again because she started winding. So I had to pick her up, which you can't do this with a bloodhound. This is why I tell everybody terriers are where it's at. To pick her up, and I had to hold her mouth shut because she was doing that terrier squeal.
Yep.
Yeah.
She was ready, man.
Yeah.
She was ready.
But that deer had made it almost to the road.
Oh my goodness.
And he laid down. He just couldn't.
So from, after he shot it and then when you guys spotted it, how far away is it now completely? I mean, because you were 300 yards when you guys last seen it. So now it's like.
It was only 400, but we had made a huge circle to cut it off.
So you were about 400 yards away.
Chris shot he actually put 2 more bolts in it with a crossbow.
Oh, man.
And it got up and ran back towards the creek and died in the creek.
Oh, wow.
And you'll never guess who waded out in the creek, put a dog leash on that deer, and drug it over to the bank.
Let me guess.
Yeah. I was getting ready to go in, and she said, "My feet are already wet. I'll just go do it." So
that's awesome.
She went out there and took some pictures, and
so you've been drawn to dogs and tracking with Shon. I mean, and you had interest in animals as a young age, Chrissy, or I mean,
I've never really had a lot of animals growing up, but the way that Shon works with them and everything, I just thought, give it a try, help him out, be there.
And then now it's your passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's great with the dogs.
That's awesome.
Now she teaches me things with dogs because I'm a little soft-hearted.
Right.
Are you saying I'm not?
She's soft-hearted. Don't get me wrong. Okay. Don't get me wrong. But she has that, you made a girl cry on a track, didn't you?
You have that business mentality.
Yeah.
Yep. She made a girl cry on a track.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. This girl shot this deer and
pretty intense.
Yeah. She was like, "Oh, I just love your dog. Do you keep it inside?"
Nope.
Chrissy said no.
And a lot of people don't understand that. I mean, a lot of people take that to, that's abuse. I mean, it's a hunting dog.
Yeah. Well,
they prefer outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing with terriers, you can keep them outside and you put them in a kennel, they go crazy.
Right.
So we put the terriers on a chain, which some people just, you got your dog on a chain. But that allows her to run in a circle.
Yeah.
It allows her to cover back and forth. It's a long chain.
Right. Yeah.
And she strengthens up.
Right. She's running around and just enjoying life.
But
that's what they're made for.
That girl is ready to cry when Chrissy told her that.
Yeah.
But now her son told her, or told us, that Jessie should be inside drinking out of a gold bowl.
Oh, wow. Well, okay.
Yeah. So
you made her cry over telling her the truth. Oh, man.
But it's been interesting. Like our first dog together was Cy.
Right.
And he's still here. And he's a little survivor.
How many dogs do you guys have together as now? I mean, you guys have quite a bit of pups out here.
We have.
You have one here in the crate I just saw a moment ago.
We have Cy. He's here. We got Jessie.
Yeah.
Henry. Now we have Karma. So there's 4. We have Huck, our big old bloodhound.
Yep.
There's number 5. And then Truda, our wire-haired pointer's number 6. And then we talked about the franchise pups that we own.
Right.
But we have 6 right here.
Okay.
And then a whole parcel full of pups because Jess just had her litter of pups and they're getting ready to go home here soon. So
yeah.
But got 7 pups here at the house running around. But it's been an interesting start to this business, and we can't wait to see where it goes.
That's what's awesome to just get to talk with you a little bit about, like I said, not a lot of girls want to go out in the middle of the night tracking a deer. Right. That's just not something anyone wants to do sometimes.
Well, I think we have fun doing it. We butt heads, and later we're gonna talk to Daniel Hannafin here later.
Yeah.
And I think you got a little frustrated on that track.
I did.
Jesse,
maybe we can hit on that one later.
She took Jesse on that one as the lead. She took the lead.
Yeah.
And Jesse took her on the track, but got distracted by a flock of turkeys. I'm talking about in a thicket.
Oh my! I bet that was
hands and knees thicket.
Ugh.
And she didn't know which direction she went in, and I was yelling, I'm right up here. She said, I don't know where up here is.
That's
Your dang dog was chasing turkeys.
That's as they say. It's thicker than briar patch with a rabbit trail in it. Yeah, it's thick.
Yeah, but I mean, we've had long days, but I think they've been fun.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, but
that's great. Well, we're starting to run out of time here. I mean, we're gonna have Mr. Mills on here in a little while, and then we're gonna have Daniel and.
Okay. Well, we need to, though, mention American Flyway Waterfowl. Joey Hip down there in Louisiana, a good friend of ours. He outfits JC. Check out our Raised Right with JC page and our Longspur Tracking outfitting page, and you'll see some of Joey's products. He's got great clothes. I'm wearing one of his shirts now.
Okay, I was going to say, that looks like a sharp shirt.
Yeah, he has a lot of the good old-style camo if you're an old-fashioned turkey hunter like I am.
Mossy Oak.
Old Mossy Oak Bottomland. Some great hats on there. I mean, if you're into those Richardson hats, he carries plenty of styles on there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, we can't forget Peanut Addiction. Sam McCloy over in Grafton, great friend of ours. We did a track for him. Great deer tracked it. And also Dream Mountain Ranch up in Preston County, West Virginia. You got to check them out.
Yeah, and they're made in West Virginia, too. The Peanut Addiction is.
Yeah, Peanut Addiction is made in West Virginia.
Yeah.
We try to deal with West Virginia companies or American-made products. I mean, that's our goal. And good people. Yeah. We want to work with good people.
Absolutely.
That's like Joey Hip. He's in Louisiana, but he's a good person.
Yeah.
He's always treated us good. We check in with him on hurricanes, and he checks in with us and sees how things are going. And yeah,
that's great.
Just a great guy.
Keep it in the loop.
Checked in when COVID hit around here, just making sure we all were good. But, Dream Mountain, I was talking about them, up in Preston County, West Virginia. And you got to get a hold of Brian Poling. Check out their Facebook page, Dream Mountain Ranch. They got some cool animals up there, and it's a great place to take a kid and get them started. And they're having a shed hunt coming up on April 9th. This might air after that, but we'll let you know about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
How it went, but it's something you can plan for next year.
That's what you were saying. It's like an Easter egg hunt for kids.
An Easter egg hunt for kids and adults.
Wow. That's
he
awesome.
has a kids area, and then the adults get to hunt the kids get to hunt the big ranch. But those are our three sponsors on this segment, and we'll be back here shortly with James Mills from Somerset, Kentucky.
Sounds good.
Hey, I want to welcome back everybody out there to Longspurs Beyond the Holler podcast. This segment is brought to you by Thorn Broadheads. This broadhead company is located in North Carolina. These broadheads are completely American-made broadheads, and they are exactly what I describe to people when they ask me what kind of broadhead to use out there in the tracking world.
They got a bunch of different kinds too, Shon.
Yes, they do. They have a very nice expandable, and they have a nice fixed blade broadhead called the Thorn that I'm impressed with. The XV expandable is very nice expandable if you're into the expandable line, but they leave a good wound channel, and hopefully, you place them right, you're going to put us trackers out of business. So Thorn Broadheads, you need to look them up on Facebook, on the internet, and look them up and get some of their products out there. Also, Dan's Outdoor Gear, Sugar Creek, Ohio, Dan's Outdoor Gear. They've been making some quality products for years for dog hunters. People who run dogs, go to Dan's for their clothing, brush-proof clothes, boots,
dog gear, everything.
Anything you need for your dogs, they have it. So Dan's Outdoor Gear, look them up on the internet, Facebook. Great company to deal with. Segment 2 here, we have Mr. James Mills, Somerset, Kentucky. James, you there?
Oh, yes, here I am.
James, I kind of tell everybody you're a great mentor on the Jag Terriers. And we just wanted to talk Jag Terriers with you.
Yeah.
And
well, that'd be great. I've had them 28 years. I fell in love with them 28 years ago, and still learning.
Now, did you know of very many other Jag Terriers in the United States 28 years ago?
There were 28 years ago. Max Teal was here. Max Teal introduced the breed to the United States in 1948.
Okay.
And they had a testing club up through, say, the mid-'60s, based on the German system. Okay. And so Max was still active. I actually spoke with him, attempted to get a dog from him, but he was on the last few years of owning these dogs. And then there was a few people that had got dogs from him, two more, probably Jim Glover and then Mr. The folks there in Missouri at Missouri Blood Trackers.
Okay.
Jack and Sharon Jones. And
okay.
so those were the only people I knew. There's a fellow in Canada named Wolf Deichel, and then there was another fellow there called Honey and Volker Sherm. They were outfitters. I just sent a dog to one of their employees, Honey and Volker Sherm, at Monashi Outfitters. I just sent a dog to him for a bear hunter there in Prince George, Canada.
Wow.
You do a lot of everything then.
When you first got into the Jag Terriers, what attracted you to them?
Well, I was attracted to them because I'd heard they were tree dogs.
Okay.
Well, when I got them, I discovered they were not really active tree dogs, even though I've learned since then how to have a tree dog out of these dogs.
Right.
But then after keeping them and being attracted to them for that incredible grittiness, I began to see their versatility. And that's what kept me. You know, it's kind of like the pretty face got me, you know, but man, she sure could cook. So I've been married to her for almost 50 years, you know, that's right. My wife. Well, these dogs, I was attracted for the grittiness, but then their versatility, I just learned everything that they could do, you know.
Right. Now, what all have you hunted with your terriers, James?
Well, I mean, you know, we've had great retrievers and hunted everything you could retrieve with a dog, you know, just about all kinds of waterfowl anyway. Then we've had all kinds of ground game, foxes,
mm-hmm.
coons and possums and groundhogs. Yeah. Then we've hunted wild hogs. We love the wild hog hunt, but you have to go somewhere. There's no wild hogs right here. But we've been in, you know, 7-8 different states hunting wild hogs with them. And then, of course, we blood tracked up just about the whole time.
Right.
With these dogs. I know some friends that I've always wanted to hunt deer with them. Right. You know, there are places you can run deer.
Right.
And Ted Davis passed away not long ago, and he had a dog. He would run little patches of woods, and there in South Carolina where it was legal to run deer with a dog.
You know, I had never considered even using them for that, but they would. Wow, that's they really would make an excellent deer dog.
Yeah, just like we were saying before. I mean, that's what you're looking for.
With the hunting, could you also tell us about the American Hunting Terrier Association? How did it come about?
Now, say that again.
The American Hunting Terrier Association. How did it come about?
Well, we had a lot of interest in that, and a man by the name of Paul Greenwood and Cody Fritz invited us all down to his place. He has a hog bay arena, and he had these dogs. Cody had been to a hog bay in North Mississippi, and I had won the puppy with my little red dog. And I didn't know Cody, didn't meet Cody at that trip. And but he saw him, and he had to have one. So I went back to Texas, and there were a few floating around Texas. And he ended up getting one from maybe Bill Mankin, I'm not sure. But he got one, and he still got, I think, one of his first little dogs. He's got a little dog named Demi Lou, and she's just a hog bay extraordinaire dog. She's just an excellent animal. And so they had that, and they invited everyone down. We'd had several meetings over the last 28 years with different people to try to get something started. We went to Indianapolis once, and there's always some interest in trying to do things the European way.
Right.
And we all see the benefit of letting someone else evaluate our dogs, which we think is the key.
Right.
As long as someone else evaluates our dogs, we see any sort of program that helps us do that, a positive step in the right direction for the breed. So we come up with a breeding matrix that allows you to get points in more of an American situation. But he started. He let us use his facility there. We had 2 trials a year for a couple of years, and then we expanded. Went to a trial in South Dakota. There's a trial here, and we have 3 trials a year right now. We've got works on start having one in. I guess it's going to be Washington State.
Wow.
Okay.
Added there. So it started with those folks, Cody Fritz and D. St. Alban. William Burns came along just a year or 2 later. He's an officer now, and they're just great people. They have great dogs, but the people we put together, Lance Criswell, Jake Babb down in Texas, just been super guys. I probably left off somebody off of our board in Alabama there, Joey Wright, and they're just super people interested in the breed. And, and we tried to contact with we kept with them. The biggest benefit is our contact with one another.
Right. Now, you all register terriers also, provide
We do. We have a registry, yes.
Okay, because I know it used to be pretty hard with the AKC, UKC to register a Jag Terrier in the United States. I think.
Well, the AKC is not registered yet. They don't register them yet. They do have that foundation stock service where they're beginning to.
Right.
The UKC was kind of odd. It was really strange. They registered these dogs from the outset when I started, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
However, I remember asking them a question, and I had a question to ask, and they said, "What?" Of course, they have people hired, I guess, to answer the phone. It's really hard to contact those people, and so I'm talking to the service people on the phone. They don't know very much, I think sometimes. And I said, "I want to know about a Jag Terrier." I said, "A what?"
Yeah.
I said, "A Jag Terrier." I call the AKC rare breed specialist. Now, this is a person that lived at that time in New York City. They were at they were headquartered in New York City. No telling what they made money. And I said, I was just wondering, what were the plans for the Jag Terrier, if you had any plans. They didn't even know what the breed was. And I mean, that's a person who makes their living studying rare breeds and
right.
and taking care of rare breeds.
I know.
So but the AKC, through the efforts of Richard Reynolds, he's a very prominent all-breed judge, and he's in our club too. He comes to just about all of our trials. They've entered the foundation stock service, and they'll eventually register them through them. I imagine you can't actually register them now, but the full, I think foundation stock is a preliminary step.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. Now, you're a state representative for the NKC, correct?
I am.
Okay. NKC's been pretty easy to work with. They're the registry we use here at Longspur, and we're actually one of their registered kennels, or licensed kennel, I should say. But where do you see the future of this breed going in the United States? That's another.
Well, it's going to diverge, of course. There's going to be a UKC. An AKC. A show strain develop, I'm sure, eventually. Right. I'm sure that'll happen. It's that way in Europe. Some of the dogs that we import from Europe, I had a friend, and he was talking down, dog show dogs. Mm-hmm. And I didn't say a word. I don't like getting into the Facebook drama or internet drama. Yeah. So a friend of mine, we were talking to him about it so I messaged a friend of mine because we knew the dog, and I said, does he know that his dog has 124 show titles from Europe?
Oh, gosh.
And so that's developing in Europe,
Right.
With a strong show title. But some of those people, really hunt their dogs. Mm-hmm. But I've begun to see that affect those dogs. They kind of do it this way. They'll either enter them into a trial or take them hunting just to kind of satisfy the notion that they have to be hunting dogs too,
Right.
But,
exactly.
To me, we've always thought if they're hunting dogs first.
Yeah.
Right.
They can't be show dogs first and hunting dogs second. But that being said, I love a good-looking dog.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Now you said you tracked with your terriers, and of course we're our main job here at Longspurs, we're trackers. I mean, how did you find your terriers? Very serviceable. They hang in there with other breeds, or?
Well, that's the only dog I have any experience with tracking.
Really?
And
okay.
I see pluses and minuses, and of course the plus, they do have a great nose,
right?
And they're compact size. They have incredible drive.
Mm-hmm.
They just have incredible drive, and I see all those as positives. I mean, I wouldn't want mine to be real close to a big buck that was wounded because, they would try to catch them probably.
Right, exactly.
They would try to catch them, and it could be a dicey situation. But that drive, of course, is the negative side too. They don't track slow. They're a difficult read, but it's sometimes real easy to read. That dog is very, very deliberate. And occasionally you'll find some of these dogs that are very, very deliberate.
Right.
But, and that's what's going to be the main, I think, lines that develop as some of the better blood tracking dogs. Those that are a little slower, more deliberate. And then, of course, you always face that thing of, off game.
Right.
The dog I used for blood tracking, that's all we did. We didn't do anything else with it. And,
okay.
And I had a little female here that I'd tried to track with, and they've been killing squirrels to her, and they're so gamey.
Right.
They're interested in a lot of off game too,
Right. What's your favorite breed of dog for just, any kind of hunting that you're interested in? What's your favorite breed that you use every day?
Well, I've only owned Jag Terriers.
I've only owned Jag
Terriers for 28 years.
And that just shows just what we were talking about, how those dogs just have such a stride for any kind
of
hunting.
And they're versatile. They're one of the most versatile dogs I've ever owned.
Yeah.
I thought at once I would get a German pointer, and I had a long-haired pointer, the setter-coated one.
Mm-hmm.
A German Jag Terrier breeder had one. And he had it for sale, and I thought, that would be a pointing dog, and it could retrieve a goose. And so with my Jag Terriers and that dog, I could hunt anything imaginable.
Those geese are heavy,
because my dogs can't retrieve a goose normally.
Right.
They'll drag one in sometimes, and they don't point.
Right.
And I thought, that'll be everything. These little dogs and that dog, but I kept her for a couple of years there and found a good home for her. It just wasn't something I wanted to do. People have offered me every sort of dog in the world. Mr. Mills, they'll say, dogs. Mr. Mills, let me give you this cur dog. Let me give you this bulldog. Let me give you this Drahthaar. Let me give you this German short hair. And I always say, it's awful tough to do good with any breed. And I just don't want to. I don't want to do anything else but these dogs. So I've had them 28 years,
That's your go-to dog right there.
I know we talked in your yard there about, you start going down the line. You first got into the Yogs for squirrel hunting. And,
I did.
And we were talking about how some of them look up and some of them don't. And that's just something I've experienced here with Jessie. She's one that wouldn't look up, and her brother Henry will look up and tree every squirrel in the woods.
I don't know what the difference is.
Does that come with age or just, learning? They look up and they see what, they obviously learn.
Yeah.
Some are just more interested in that nose, they're more interested in, and of course, the dogs are very alert.
Oh, they don't.
And they see everything.
They don't miss a beat.
I mean, they hear everything. They see everything. I can't get up at night. and my dogs are 50 feet behind my house, maybe.
Right.
And then, of course, I'm inside the house, and I get up and I walk to the bathroom. My dogs hear me.
Yeah.
They'll bark a few
They're
times.
The best security system you can have.
Every time. If you ever turn a light on, they always know that.
Right.
But they're like, Malinois in the working dog breed. They're very high drive, and that high drive can lend to difficulties. They really just need to be in hunting homes.
Yes.
They're hunting dogs. They're just not.
That's what we were talking.
They're just not
originally.
anything but that.
You keep your dogs outside, or like what?
I have 3 dogs in the house right now as we speak. Okay. I got a little mouse dog here from New Mexico to breed, and so I keep 2 or 3 in the house and swap them in and out all the time, and always kind of going back and forth with different ones. There's 1 or 2 that you can't. They're just. I had Draco in the house for 10 years. A Draco dog of mine in the house and then not one time did he ever really deserve to be in the house. A handful. He would dash out the front door. I got him back from a problem situation where I'd bred him, and fellows in the Coast Guard and went on tour and left it with his wife, and she's having real difficulty with him and didn't know anything. And so, but little by little, we tolerated in the house. Right. I sold a dog to a fellow. He'd had it 15 years, and he said we kept it in the house, and he said about the same thing. He said it was trouble in the house.
Gosh. I mean, that's a good question for you there. Like you said, these dogs belong in hunting homes.
Yeah.
What has been your return rate on pups over the years, do you think? I mean, have you had many return to you, people saying this dog's just too hot?
I have a few, not very many, because the way I do is I never advertise.
Right.
And so no one sees an advertisement for one of my dogs and says, ooh, wouldn't that be cool? Right. So they have to ask somebody, and somebody has to say, and they have to do a little bit of research to find me, because I've never advertised it.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe one time or two, when I first got started, but I just don't advertise. So it's kind of self-limiting, The people that come to me are
word of mouth.
pretty serious, and I try to discourage the ones that I think won't work out. You know?
Right.
That's something we've gone through here. I mean, we did the crossing with Ono, the import dog there you have at your house, and we had 6 pups here, you know, that are going to different parts of the United States, but we probably had 50 or 60 contacts on them, and it's just finding those right people because I mean,
you don't want to let someone take it just to, you know.
Well, so many people want to take them and treat them like a poodle, and they're not.
Yeah. They're a hunting dog. Just like we were saying, they're a hunting dog.
They have some innate dog aggression, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're used in trials on live fox and live badger.
Right.
You know, with full contact in some states, and so that's been illegal in the English-speaking world since 1885.
Right.
And so the kind of drive that those dogs have, it lends itself to some dog aggression. And, you know, the Serbian people, it seems like, I don't know anymore, the German dogs are just about as dog aggressive as anything. But the Serbian dogs forever were, you know, they were pretty dog aggressive. And, you know, you just you had to figure out how to manage that.
Yes.
You had to be kind of dog trainer. And I would even tell them, I said, if you don't know how to handle a dog that might fight another dog, that is to train it not to, and to always prevent it, and you don't need these dogs.
Right.
And it's worked out really well. There's a little falconer up here at Northern Kentucky named Hannah Dahl, and she's got a firm hand in training. She's got a little old dog, and I don't think her dog really was dog aggressive at all, but she had that firm hand that's just necessary for these dogs, you know.
Yeah.
And some understanding, you know.
Yeah.
I remember once I was in southeast Oklahoma hog hunting, and I said, now, this dog, when we first start, sometimes can be a bit troublesome. And, of course, those dogs had a little pit bull mixed in, and they were Catahoulas and cur dogs, and so we were horseback riding with these little dogs, and their dogs too. And they said, our dogs take care of themselves, just turn it loose. You know, they had the understanding. They had hunted with dogs. They knew that wasn't going to happen. We were not going to have any trouble, and they knew how to prevent it. And so that we didn't have a bit of trouble, not for a second. We hunted for a whole week down there.
They understand their dogs.
Yeah.
So.
couple more questions, James, before we got to go here. I mean, out of all the dogs you had, what's the ones that stood out the most to you? Who was your favorite?
Well, I had a dog named Vok Zoskalikage. His name was Jack.
How the heck did you remember that?
Vok Zoskalikage. Vok, I believe, means Jack.
Okay.
But his nickname was Jack. Vok, V-O-K. I think I have a website out there with that picture of it. And Jack had ended up, let's see, were they Croatian? They were foreign because I could barely understand them. They were Slovakian because that Skalikage is a Slovakian line. They were Slovakian, and they had a deer pen where they would raise deer to sell for meat. And so they bought this dog. The coons were getting in their feed. Well, when the Jag Terrier that they brought over got finished killing coons one day, it ran a deer through a fence. And so they realized they had to get rid of it. And they wanted a couple $1,000s for it. And back in those days, that was like the moon,
Right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't have any money. And I think after they'd talked to another fellow, they'd kind of insulted them. And they called me back, and they spoke in broken English. They said, "We want you have the dog." So I drove to Buffalo, New York, and met them coming out of Canada, and that was really the foundation of everything I had. He looked as good as any dog you'd ever see. He was a little bully looking. These dogs need to be a little more streamlined than he was, but it was still impressive to see. He had the heart and to run and to hunt hard and to go deep. Just as gritty as all get out, and a beautiful dog, and had everything else you needed. And then he sired the Draco dog that I kept here for 10 years. I kept him for 10 years. So, for 20 of the 28 years, I've had dogs out of Vok or him.
Right. Well, that's...
And still have his granddaughter,
Wow.
Still have granddaughter, too.
That's history.
That's an awesome history.
Yeah.
James, we appreciate you coming on with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I was glad to.
And we're going to have to end this show for today. We appreciate everybody out there listening. This segment was brought to you by Thorn Broadheads, North Carolina company. Please look them up on Facebook. And Dan's Outdoor Gear, Sugar Creek, Ohio. Look them up on the internet or Facebook there. They have some great products for dog hunters. We've been on the line with James Mills, Somerset, Kentucky. This has been Longspurs Beyond the Holler. Check in on our Facebook page to see when our next podcast will post. And we appreciate all our listeners out there. This is Shon Butler for David Hamilton. We appreciate everybody, and have a good day.
Don't go by the moss log. Jill flirted in a soup fog. You turn around in Laurel, you'll never come home. I could high step the rock bowl and drop in the King Cole. That's a mountaineer's hunt, son. Don't go it alone. Hemlock Rock is where I'll stay today. Whiskey's got me feeling frail. If I get cold from sitting, I'll take another swig and head down Cadillac Trail. There's always a big rack on top beach flat. I tracked them in circles till the nights came on. There's always a dandy at the bottom of Gandy. The ghosts of old Red Creek, you swear they're all gone. Hemlock Rock is where I'll stay today. Whiskey's got me feeling frail. If I get cold from sitting, I'll take another swig and head down Cadillac day to day.